You talk about Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he's very, very intriguing with the rushing upside, with the talent he showed. I mean, there was a lot of doubters. I had my doubts about him last year coming into the season as well. I thought it'd take him a little bit longer to develop, but he kind of showed out early. Just we didn't really get to obviously we didn't get to see the full Anthony Richardson. He got knocked out early with that shoulder injury. He left other games with concussions. So he's got to be a little bit smarter, but he certainly looks like, and I love the way his mechanics looks. The ball comes out of his arm real nice. I like everything about him. But if you're gonna give me a choice between him and Lamar Jackson, and I only have to pay a round difference, a round earlier for Lamar, I'm gonna go with Lamar. I mean, yeah, a little bit of concern with Lamar as well. I mean, he's 2021, he played 12 games. 2022, he played 12 games last year. He got 16 in there, but QB1 back in 2019, top 10 in 2020, QB8, number 7, 2021, number 6 in fantasy points per game, rather, and then last year number 3. So, I mean, Richardson's intriguing. I love taking Richardson, but if I can get Lamar a proven, fantasy asset a round earlier, I think that's the safer pick, the safer bet. Now, it's possible Richardson could have more upside. It is possible. It is possible that Richardson could be the better quarterback at some point in his career. But is that going to happen next year? Second year now for Lamar and Monken's system. Second year for Zay Flowers, who I really like a lot. You get a full year out of Mark Andrews, who's been his staple connection, year in and year out. Rashad Bateman, they're talking him up once again. I'm not really buying that. But Lamar is going to have the rushing yards. He's going to have another year in this system with Zay Flowers, with Derrick Henry now, which also I think will obviously boost their running game. They're none of their running backs can stay freaking healthy the past couple of years, so that should help Lamar as well. So yeah, if it was like a 3 or 4 round difference, I'd probably say Richardson. But if it's only going to be 1 round, I'm going to go with the more proven and reliable asset in Lamar Jackson.
So when it comes to Lamar, we know who Lamar is. We know what he can bring to the table. I love Anthony Richardson. In fact, I can see a world when I lock my rankings for the Fantasy Pros, ECR, the draft rankings, he might be a top 3 quarterback for me. That's how much I love Anthony Richardson. 2 games, 2 full games that he played last year. QB2 in fantasy points per game or that week, and then QB4. The other 2 games he left in the second quarter. One of those games where he left in the second quarter, 17.7 fantasy points in week 2 against Houston. Now, what do I love about Anthony Richardson? Or not what do I love? What edges do I give Anthony Richardson? Does he have the better offensive line? You can make, FTN, because I don't have PFF in front of me. They have the Colts O-line ranked number 3, where Baltimore's O-line, they lost, I believe, 2 key members of it. So that's going to be an O-line in flux. Who has the running back edge? I would say it's a push between Derrick Henry and JT. Who has the better receiving room? I don't think it's close, and Anthony Richardson has the better receiver room, and of course, Lamar Jackson has the edge at tight end. So I like the weapons and the offensive line better for Anthony Richardson. I also like the offensive mind calling the plays for, Todd Monken's all well and good. I just don't think they have the personnel to throw the football the way Monken wants to throw it, where Steichen, look what he's done with every quarterback he's been with. Herbert, Hurts, Gardner Minshew last year. He made Steichen's such a magician is that he has people fooled once again that Gardner Minshew is an NFL starter. He has people fooled. Well, the consensus thinks that he's going to go to Oakland or Las Vegas and be some kind of a star. Gardner Minshew is a career backup, and it's only a matter of time before they make a change if Minshew is the starter this year. So Anthony Richardson, I'm buying into the unknowns because I think the ceiling for Anthony Richardson, if he plays a full 17 games, I think the ceiling is that he breaks fantasy football. The ceiling is quarterback 1 overall for Anthony Richardson.
And I apologize. Did you mention the recent story about him having the shoulder issue? I mean, they're kind of playing it off, saying that it's not really a big deal, but I don't know.
He's saying there's nothing to worry about. They downplayed it. So I don't know. I'm not like we're in June, early June right now. If we're hearing these issues as we get to like August, then I'll pull back on Anthony Richardson. But right now, I have nothing to worry about.
Sure. No, yeah, it's like, only because, and I don't think this is going to change. Just Anthony Richardson is the sexiest and yet most risky pick, I think, based on what you're spending on him going into these drafts. I mean, I love him too. But
it's not a hot take. Lamar doesn't have that fantasy quarterback one in him anymore. He doesn't. I mean, quarterback one, like top 12. Yeah. Quarterback one overall. I don't know if he has it in him anymore.
I don't see why I mean,
are they ever going to give the guy more weapons?
You don't think Derrick Henry's going to take some of those touchdowns away?
I was going to say that's the only reason why I would be on board with that is because Derrick Henry's there, and that will eat into some of those rushing touchdowns where they were unable to get them before, unless they had Lamar Jackson. So that's one avenue which I'll go with you on, but I don't know. Well, you know.
Yeah, I think Lamar always has that number one ceiling, but I mean that's. Richardson could get it too. I mean, Richardson could go nuts just running like a maniac. We've seen quarterbacks of lesser talent have monster fantasy seasons as well. So, look Cordell Stewart way back when, the freaking running all over the place, calling him Slash. And so, I mean, Richardson could be. So I think the biggest concern with Richardson, I'm not really worried about his shoulder. I think he'll be fine. I trust he'll be fine. He's a freak athletically. I think his body will heal. He'll be fine. I think it's just like a concussion, the way he runs, but that's also a concern with Lamar too. So they have similar concerns in that aspect.
Richardson in 4 games, once again, 2 full games, 2 games left in the second quarter. He had 4 rushing touchdowns. Lamar had 5. This is not the same Lamar anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing about
older. There's the wear and tear. I mean,
well, that's the other thing about Richardson. He's young still, so they'll rely on his legs more. They're going to want him to run, but at the same time, that probably puts him a little bit more risk for injury. Maybe Lamar's just being a little bit smarter at this point in his career,
and he should be.
No, of course. But it's good that he was out, from 16 games last year, and MVP season for him. So I just think my main thing with that is the round difference. If it was like 2-3 rounds, I think I'd be more inclined to take Richardson.
I'm not anti-Lamar. I love Lamar Jackson. I just think fantasy-wise, like if you're trying to go, and I don't know if this is less for a home league, but like if you're trying to win a tournament, if you're trying to win, big money in a high-stakes league, Anthony Richardson is the horse you want to hook yourself to.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, like you could maybe say, all right, well, I want to get Lamar or Richardson.
Yeah.
And then if somebody, there's a player that you really want to take in the 4th round, you say, all right, well, I'm going to pass on Lamar. I'm going to get freaking DK Metcalf or, Jalen Waddle or something like that, or Kenneth Walker, and then I'll take Richardson the next round. You could do that too. So that's fine with me. And then, compare him to like Joe Burrow, or even Jordan Love. Yeah, Richardson has that upside there. So I like that.
Yeah.
It all depends really, what you're, how you're formulating your team.
Yep.
And we did get a comment from Greg, which, I mean, we did kind of reference in a way, talking about the shoulder, talking about the injury concerns. He's not convinced by Richardson. I assume he's saying that because of the injuries, because, I mean, what we did see of Richardson last year was pretty freaking dynamic, even though it was a small sample size, but when he was out there, the dude delivered. So
and he has yet to play a game with Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, there is that too. Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. I just thought you were skewing a little bit too far off the rails for my particular liking, talking about Lamar not having an opportunity for a QB1, but but again, we're talking about what? If he's not QB1, he's what, QB3, QB4? Like he's not,
right.
Like
he's last year, he was a QB4 and quarterback 4 and then quarterback 3 of fantasy points per game. But what makes the difference to that QB1 ceiling and upside. Well, Josh Allen had 15 rushing touchdowns. Lamar, in his MVP year, he only had 5 rushing scores. He's not trying to get beat up anymore. He got paid. He wants to stay healthy. And I think that does take away from that overall ceiling where Anthony Richardson, I mean, this is where the injury risk comes in. He's going to go make some dumb decisions and try to score those touchdowns. I mean, and you know, he's young. It's going to take him. Look at how many years it took Lamar to be like, all right, I'm going to pick my battles.